Hello, and welcome to another edition of Delta Media Group's Tech Tuesday. My name's Harley, and I'll be guiding you through the dark and twisted corridors of misunderstanding and lack of knowledge and into the light of understanding. That might have been a little excessive. I know. I go a little extreme sometimes with that kind of thing. So anywho, this time on Tech Tuesday, we're going to go over the email blast system in the DeltaNet 5. So, without further ado, with no more gilding the lily, let's go on into the DeltaNet and see what we have. So here we are on the standard homepage in the DeltaNet, and we're going to go down to Customers and Email Blasts. And here we are. So on our email blast page, we have at the top our email blast overview, just gives you a little information, and there's actually another video here that was made in the older system that just works out as a guide to what we're about to do anyway. So, so if you ever need a refresher, this one does it in the older system, and then you'll of course be able to go back and watch this video and see it in the DeltaNet 5. And then as we scroll down, next section we have here is templates. Now there are 3 sections in the templates area. One of them is your drafts, so anything that you went in here and created and then decided that you weren't quite finished yet and you wanted to work on later on, you can save that as a draft and it'll store those right here and you'll be able to choose from them when there's some in there. You have templates, which are things that you basically completed it, but you want to be able to go back to it and modify it to send again later on. This is a good one if you wanted to send out like a newsletter. So you can have newsletters, save them all as templates here, and then each, say you do it monthly, so every month go in here, you could click on Use, and that'll bring up your template, and then you can make any modifications to it you want, and then resend it, or save it as a draft, or save it as a template again. And then lastly, we have company templates. Company templates are email blast templates that have been made available to every agent in your company. So basically these would be created by an administrator at your company and then submitted to us, and we make them available to everybody. So anyway, those would show up here. The other thing about those is if you had any in here and you wanted to make modifications to a company template, you can duplicate it. So it'll show up here in your own templates. Basically you duplicate it into your templates from there, because you can't modify the company template, but you could duplicate it in your own template and then modify that one. So if you ever wanted to use a template, just go in here and you can click on Use, and that'll load it up down here in the editor. You can see I didn't do a whole lot with this one. And then you can make any modifications to it you want and set it up and send it out. So let me click New here. The New button clears this out, clears out your whole WYSIWYG editor and your recipients and everything so that you have a fresh area to start working with. And first off, you can use the To field here to select who you want it to go to. When you click, you notice that this all opens up for me, and from here I can type in either the name of one of my groups, and that will narrow the list down to the group. Then I would select that if I wanted to go there, or I can type in the name of an individual recipient. And then just select them from the list and they'll come in through here. Or if I wanted to go to everybody, I can just pick my All Customers group, which negates these two because they are within the All Customers group. So they would not have to go in there anymore. So now it'll go out to everybody. You can also CC and BCC the same way. Those fields work in exactly the same way, just autocompleters like that. The one thing to keep in mind here is that you can't type in an email address in any of these fields. You have to type in a user account. So if you have an email address, you would have to create an account for them first, and then once you've created an account, they'll show up here. So if I go up here and I say, it'll help if I click on the field. See, so if I just type in a name that's not in my database, I get customer not found. And same thing if I try to type in an email address. So there we go. Once you have your recipients filled in, you can go down here to the subject field, and you can do this in any order, obviously. But you can go down to the subject field and type in what you want your message subject to be. This is my message. and you can add a file attachment by just clicking there and selecting it on your computer. You want to be careful with file attachments because these are designed to be bulk emails to go out to a lot of customers, so a real big attachment isn't going to work out real well for you. I'd say 1 meg attachments for sure. There might actually be a 3 meg or a 5 meg limit. So, but you want to keep it down probably around a meg at the most. And most documents, might be about half that. So you probably won't have to worry too much. PDFs would be the big ones. So if you have any PDFs that you wanted to send out as an attachment, some of those can get pretty large. So you'd want to be careful with those. So once you've been through these fields and you've done anything you need to do there, have your subject line in and your recipients picked out, you can use the DeltaNet 5 version of the WYSIWYG editor to actually create the email. So we'll say, this is my great email blast. And this is a picture of a tree. I already found a picture of a tree. I was really into trees this morning. So there we go. And what I've done there is just copied the URL of the image, and I'm saying insert image. And then I'm going to paste in the URL. And there's our picture of a tree. So you can use this WYSIWYG editor to do anything you can as far as page editing on your own pages. You just want to keep in mind that you're actually doing this for an email. So things that are really large like that aren't going to work out. For example, this picture is a really big picture, so I would want to actually get something smaller to put in here. Because the size of a picture like that is going to increase the size of the email. So it's going to take longer for you to send it. It's going to take longer for the recipient to download it and actually view it. So it's something to keep in mind when you're doing emails like this. Another thing is you are capable of doing anything with this WYSIWYG editor that you can on a regular page, like embedding media or embedding a video. But embedded videos and stuff don't work out as well in email, and usually don't come through as well in email as they do when you're actually displaying them on like a web page. So that's something to keep in mind here. We are going to go through another video where we go more in depth with the WYSIWYG editor itself, but for now, you can see we've created this. I'll go ahead and create a link just for fun. This is a link. I'll just highlight the word, and I'll say insert link. And there you go. Now we've added a link to our message. So once you've created all the content in here and have it all set up the way that you like it, you can go down here and you can say preview it. And there it is in a window. And you can see that there's no template or anything around this. And the nice thing about the email blasts is you can be purely creative with them. They're completely custom. So there's no kind of template. I mean, your picture's not going to be in there automatically. All it does is put in your lead signature automatically, and then you can actually delete that and replace it in the email itself if you want. So there you go, completely custom. Now, next thing we can do is we can save it as a template. And as I said, if we save it as a template, it's going to show up here in our template section, and then we'll be able to pick from it again to use it later on. And if we save it as a draft, works in a similar way, but puts it up at the top. So we'll go ahead and save this one as a draft. Now the main difference between a saved draft and a template is that the drafts also should save the recipients. Let me click on this to make sure I didn't make that up. We didn't have any recipients. So we put our all customers in there, save as a draft. There we go. So we see the draft saves who your recipients are, whereas a template does not. The template, the idea is you're going to go back in and modify it and send it out to a different set of people, whereas a draft, if you've decided who you want it to go to already and entered that, then that's part of your draft. That's part of your incomplete work, basically. So that's the difference between a template and a draft. Lastly, we can refresh here, and that just pulls up new information if there were any changes. It basically reloads the draft. And if we click on New, as we already saw, it'll clear this out and let us start from scratch. So lastly, we have the Send button here. Once you hit Send, it'll just fire the email off to all the recipients you have chosen here. I believe this also goes into our email queue system, so it might not send instantly. It'll depend on how many messages our mail servers are sending out at the time, basically. But usually, as long as it's not right on top of a holiday or anything like that, they usually go out pretty quick. All right, and then the last section we have here is the email blast history section. The nice thing here is you can go into this section and you can preview any of the messages that you've sent before. So say, for example, you wrote up this whole message and spent a lot of time with it and then fired it off, but you forgot to save it as a template. And you thought, this is a great one, I can reuse this one. You can go back here in history and you can hit use on one of your previous emails and it loads it back up here. Or resend. You can see it pulls in the yeah, either way it's going to pull in the recipients. So, so basically you can use the use button or the resend button to load it back up in your WYSIWYG editor here, and you can make any modifications to it and resend it right there. Or you have the same option still to save it as a draft or save it as a template. So there you go, and because this is in the DeltaNet 5, all of this can also be done on a mobile device. It'll all reformat itself and be usable on mobile. Let me see if I can give you a look at that real quick. There we go. So right about here is what it would look like on mobile. And you can see everything works about the same way. It's just reformatted itself so that you can actually use it on a mobile device. Alrighty, so there you go. You've gotten your look at the DeltaNet 5 email blast system. And as always, it's been a pleasure. I thank you for watching me today. And if you have any questions, issues, go ahead and either comment on one of our videos, send an email to support@deltagroup.com, or give us a call, and we can go ahead and walk you through any problems you might have. If you have any suggestions for new videos, as always, we're open that way too. You can let us know, and we'll get a video all set up for you. So, thanks a lot for joining me this week, and I will see you again next week.